Good day and welcome to the first episode of Unpacking COVID-19 with Dr. T. I hope we are all well from all corners of the globe during these challenging times. It's a very challenging times. It's as if we are at war. Actually, we are at war. And the enemy that we are fighting is COVID-19. And when one is at war, the general will tell the soldiers that they have to know the enemy that they are fighting while working on finding solution to destroy it. It's critical that you do know the enemy. In science, the terminology that we like to use, not enemy this time, but when you want to know something or someone, we like to say, I want to capture your brain, especially senior scientists. This terminology is mainly about getting your understanding and reasoning. So it's a combination of that. We say, I want to capture your brain. So there are a number of reasons that have made us to start this platform. And for today, I'll mention two. The first one is because of the conversation that I've had, during the vacation with family members, or with colleagues, or with the community at large, that I saw the gap, I saw the need, the necessity of starting such an educational presentation. The second reason is because of my contribution towards dissemination of scientific knowledge. I think this is very important. After we've written those theses, after we've written those dissertation, after we've submitted to various journals for publication, after we've attended and presented in different conferences, I think it's very important that we make sure that the knowledge that we have, it does reach, to the grassroots. It does get to the civil society. So that's the second reason. However, I must also mention that the enemy that we are looking at is a very complex one. So we don't have all the answers. And this is how we're going to roll it out. Each Wednesday during lunchtime, we'll have a topic. So we're having different topics ranging from the background, which is actually what we'll be doing today, to classification, to vaccines, to traditional medicine. This is an area that I'm very passionate of. It's actually my area, traditional medicine, the use of herbs in order to combat, various ailments. But we'll get, when we get there, we'll discuss more about it. Another topic is crisis management plan for countries. Also, this is close to my heart as I'm serving in one of such platforms, an international platform with different countries. So we have two representatives from South Africa, of which I'm one of them. We were looking at the public health management that have been, implemented during the COVID. The plan itself, how prepared, how ready are we? The interventions themselves, what were the interventions and how prepared are we moving forward? So it's different topics. And then for each episode, towards the end, we will have the question of the week. So if each week we'll be selecting a question from, various social media platforms where a number of people have sent us questions. We actually already have a pile of questions. So today we've selected one. What will make sure that happens, though, is to make sure that we get to all the questions before the end of the series. So please do continue to send those questions. At the end, we'll also show you the addresses that you can send the questions to. So I'm very looking forward to this journey. I'm looking forward to learn from you, and I hope you will also learn from me. So fasten your seatbelts and enjoy this journey. So as I said before, today is more of a background. It's more of a background, more of an introduction. During the conversation I had over the vacation, one thing I noticed is a number of people, we're of the view that coronavirus, it's a new virus. So in this background, let me take you through the journey. It's not new. COVID-19 is a new strain of coronavirus. But coronavirus is not new. Let's go back to the beginning of the 21st century. What happened at the beginning of the 21st century? The year is 2003. And there's this unexplained pneumonia that is spreading. And it did spread across 5 continents. And at that time, the lethal rate was 10%. This then was termed as SARS, SARS, coronavirus. During the discussions I've been having at home, someone said, since the 2019 one is called SARS-CoV-2, is it because of the first one that is in 2003? Yes, it's one of the reasons. If we had known in 2003 that another strain of SARS will come out, I think we're going to call it SARS-CoV-1. But it was called SARS coronaviruses. And this SARS, SARS, it means severe acute respiratory syndrome. 2003. 10% lethal rate. It didn't stop there though. Let's move now. Let's move to the year 2012. What happened in 2012? 2012, this is the year now we as scientists, we thought that we can put this as a regional type of coronavirus. What do I mean by that? Remember, there was something that was called Middle East Respiratory Syndrome. The year was 2012. And we thought it was more of a regional thing. We thought so. And who actually, someone also asked you, who comes up with these names? Virologists, there's actually an international body that comes up, with all these names. But what is critical when they are coming up or when they are grouping, there are 3 groups. When we get to classification, we'll get the. What is important during that grouping, the genome sequence analysis is very critical, it's very important. But not only that, actually what we look at is more of the serological cross-reactivity analysis, definitely with the genome sequencing analysis. But the year that we're at now is the year 2012. What was the fatality rate there? It was 35%. Middle East Respiratory Syndrome coronavirus. MERS. Yes, 35% lethal rate. What happened after that? Then scientists were started to predict, virologists, across disciplines, that there will be another strain that will emerge. Yes. Then we're going to go to the year 2019. But before we go there, I think it's important at this point to summarize what we just talked about. We talked about the what, right? And we did mention that coronavirus, there was a major outbreak of fatal pneumonia in humans since the beginning of the 21st century. And what are these? These are RNA viruses that cause respiratory disease and are widely distributed among mammals and birds. We're still going to get deep into this when we go to classification. But for now, it's very important to know what are these. When did it started? Is it a new thing? Is it something that had happened before? What are we talking about? Okay, let's now move. You understand, the history, the beginning of the 21st century, what happened. You understand it didn't just happen once. At the beginning, it was about 5 continents, and then we moved to 2012. Now we're in the Middle East, the respiratory syndrome, and now let's move to the 2019. 2019 now was seeing an unexplained pneumonia. And this is taking place in Wuhan City in China. This was then named COVID-19, definitely because of the year. And it was confirmed, this is critical, what I'm just going to say now, confirmed by the World Health Organization to be a new type of coronaviruses. And then it was named SARS. COVID-2. Remember, the 2003 it was SARS COVID. Then this one is SARS COVID-2. Let's summarize that exactly. In December 2019, there was an emergence of an unexplained pneumonia in Wuhan City, Hubei province in China, which was named COVID-19 by the World Health Organization and confirmed to be a new type of coronavirus named SARS-CoV-2. That is what happened in 2019. The war that we're currently facing, the war that we are fighting, it emerged in that year. So definitely it will be called SARS as well because of, the symptoms themselves now. We know that the symptoms is flu-like symptoms, the fever, the severe acute respiratory distress syndrome, fatigue, and in some cases, we have lost family members, so we have lost colleagues, we have lost friends due to this enemy that is called SARS-CoV-2. So SARS, because of the symptoms that a person who is having or who has been infected by this coronavirus will be showing. Okay, we understand when it happened, we understand the symptoms. Then what happened in January 2020 now? Let's move to January 2020 and see what actually transpired in worldwide now. Remember before, it used to be regional, it used to be national, but now we are talking of a global challenge. We're talking of something that is not just a national concern, it's more of a global war, it's more of a global challenge. Let's move to the year 2020. This is January 2020. What is the World Health Organization, the WHO, what is it saying now? The outbreak then was declared as a public health emergency of international concern by the World Health Organization. So now we've realized that no, man, this is not something that happens in a specific province or in a specific region. It seems as if this is happening worldwide. It's a global concern. There is a great need now at this point that we make this outbreak, let it be now, be declared as a public health emergency of international concern. This was now, it took place on the 30th of January 2020. Okay, I hope you've learned something from this brief, from this introduction, because now we'll be moving towards the question of the week. The question of the week is actually from Sis Nomvula Violet Moloko. We need to project to you so that you also see what Sis Nomvula has sent to us. Please do continue to send your questions via various social media. Towards the end, at the end, actually, will show you a slide that will be giving you the details, the information on where you can send the questions, the addresses. Sis Nomvula's question, it reads like this. It will be interesting to know of any collaborations between the Institute of Traditional Knowledge and Traditional Medicine, DITLARE, and SAPRA concerning available potential vaccine that can be developed in the continent. Majority of our people have indicated recovery from the global viral pandemic as they took steaming with herbs and drinking herbal teas. What stops our government from spearheading and fast-tracking this aspect of healing instead of controversial vaccines? I pray I'm not putting you on the box. From Sis Nomvula. Yes, that's the question that we have received from Sis Nomvula. Now, in terms of answering that question, let's look at the question and answer. She had mentioned a number of things. For some people, they don't know about the Institute of Traditional Knowledge and Traditional Medicine. This is the institute that is at the Vaal University of Technology, VUT. It's a joint project between VUT and IDC. And the mandate is more on the authentication of traditional medicine, with the ultimate aim of, making this to be available to our community for consumption. Because for a long time, we do know that traditional medicine is still working, but what has been missing for decades, it's more on the documentation. Because our forefathers, our grandparents have been using this. That's one aspect from the question that I wanted to highlight. And then the authority that regulates now medicine in South Africa is called SAPRA. So for those maybe who didn't know, that we do have a body that does regulate, medicine in South Africa and put them in different categories. So we have category D and other category A and whatnot. So different depending on the type of medicine that you're bringing forward. So her question basically is, we've had, I'm from Bizana myself. I know that Umhlonyana has been used by our community members, our families, and they said they've become well. Now, let me respond to this question. Firstly, I have to applaud and commend our leaders. I think from my observation, the response, they responded very well in terms of response on COVID. It could have gone worse. The response, I really commend that. However, now let's analyze the response. The response for me, when I look at it, it's more of a first world country. The response that we've adopted is more of a first world country. What do I mean by that? Or what's the category for South Africa? When you look at South Africa is a combination of first world country and third world country. So I'm talking about development now. I'm talking about technology. I'm talking about innovation. I'm talking about, what we have as a country. It's a combination. So I want to qualify this statement. I don't want to take it, as an abstract type of response. Let's go deeper. If in the room you have someone who is in natural products from Africa, you have someone who is natural products from Africa, or in phytomedicine, or in herbal medicine, whatever we term it, but a chemistry that involves herbs and its therapeutic effects. Ask them a question. I'm qualifying that statement. The question asks them what we like to say about the use of traditional medicine. Whether it's in conferences, whether it's in thesis, whether it's in dissertation, whether it's in journals, there's a statement. And this statement, if you have not said it, it's as if the thesis is not complete. Colleagues, you know the statement. You can Google this. Let me give you a hint. Sometimes we'll say 80%, sometimes we'll say 85%, depending on the year, but it has never been lower than 80% to my knowledge. What is that statement? This is the statement. We like to say 80%, or we'll say 85%, depending on the year, of Africans use traditional medicine. And where did we get that from? According will either be at the beginning or at the end. You know, in all the fields, there's a pattern. We know the pattern. We know someone in traditional medicine, the statement is as if the thesis is not complete without it. This is how we say. According to the World Health Organization, 80% of Africans use traditional medicine, or 80% of South Africans use traditional medicine. But go and check what I'm talking about and look at the percentage. Look at the percentage. Don't take what I'm saying at face value. Go and Google it. Go and look at the thesis. There's a percentage, and this percentage is so high. It's saying most people in South Africa use traditional medicine. Okay. According to the World Health Organization. That's one point, right? Okay. Now, we are in March 2020. This virus is starting to spread in South Africa, right? At the same time, at that time, Madagascar is saying what? There's a herb that is working, that we've seen it working in our communities. Okay? Now, let's combine all of that. We didn't pay, or when I'm talking about pay, I'm not saying that scientists are not working in different places, but when you're talking about research, you have to talk about the expertise, you have to talk about funding, you have to talk about that support. You can't do good science without those. The expertise, but also the funding. Where are we going to get the consumables? Now look at what has happened in South Africa. Where is the funding going to? So to qualify what I've said, when you look at it, the approach that we've adopted, it's more of the first world country. Hence, I've qualified it. But at the same time, which doesn't make sense, when we've been saying in conferences 80% of our population is using traditional medicine. Why have we not pushed more funding to that? I don't know. But I will not also overlook what is happening in terms of different scientists that are working on traditional medicine to try and find solution. But at the same time, I have to say that's a research that is not... it's done, but I think we need greater support. We need greater support, not only us, but I think also the community that are using these herbs. We do need greater support. I hope, I've answered to your question, and I'm looking forward to more questions. We're still going to talk about vaccines and the benefits of vaccines and the negatives of vaccines. I know you've sent, a number of people have sent a lot in reference to the HIV vaccine, what happened then and things like that. When we get there, we're definitely going to talk more about it. Now, I would like us to move as we are approaching the end of this first episode. So there is a need now to show you different social media accounts that we do have. The one that we use it frequently is the Gmail account. The Gmail account, we do have Twitter, we do have Facebook, but in our Gmail account is olatozi@gmail.com. The Twitter handle is at olatozi. The Facebook handle is Tozama Gwebani. That's the Facebook handle. I'm looking forward to the second episode that we'll be having together. I've learned a lot from you. I hope you've learned a lot from me during this episode. So do have a great, fantastic week till we meet next time.